Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Wednesday morning to you all. I hope you guys are doing well out there this morning and having a fantastic start to your day. And I hope you folks have been having a great week out there so far, as we're halfway through it, which is kind of weird to think about. It feels like the week just started, but here we are. Here to give you some update information about what's going to happen weather-wise between now and the next 24 hours. And then we'll give you some update information on this winter storm risk across areas of the eastern U.S. Now, I don't think this is going to be a major winter storm, so I'm not going to label it that. The system that hit the south was absolutely a major winter storm. I mean, 9-10 inches of snow in Nashville is pretty significant for that area of the country. But this one coming up, it does have a boom potential, and I'll talk about that. And you're asking, what does that mean, a boom potential? Well, it means that I could see some areas getting more snow than what you're forecasted to get as of right now. So I'll talk about why, the potential of this, and in this video when we get to that area of the video. Take advantage of those timestamps. They're there to help you folks. If you want to jump to just certain sections of the video, I have everything sectioned out pretty well for you guys. So yeah, if you folks have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. And if you guys got anything that I can pray about or pray over, as always, please put those in the comments below so I can pray over it and so others can do so too. We all pray for one another. We all look out for one another. And yeah, if it's unspoken, put that and we got you covered. It's a family type atmosphere with this channel, so if you're new, it's more of a personal feel. And yeah, so let's get rocking and rolling. So we got a lot of weather out west, a lot of snow in the Rockies. The good news about the valleys of Oregon, those places that are still getting freezing rain this morning, you're going to warm up today. You're going to begin to thaw out, but the damage has already been done. I'm sure we're going to see some pretty awful pictures out of this area from overnight. But definitely a catastrophic ice storm in these areas. You already experienced one several days back. You got another one, yesterday into last night, and you're still getting freezing rain this morning. But luckily, the Arctic air is beginning to move out of this region. But you got a lot of snow out west in the northern Rockies especially. It looks like it's snowing in Salt Lake City. You guys have to let me know if you're viewing from that region. Snow spreading across Montana. We're going to watch a very light system kind of move across the country, and then another one behind it as far as the central U.S., and then out, in the eastern U.S. and even in the central U.S., it's really quiet. It's very cold. It's very, very cold in the Mid-South compared to average. I mean, I saw a reading, I believe it was Cooksville, Tennessee. I think that was the town. 13 below zero. I mean, that's unreal for Tennessee. But here we are. I mean, there's readings below zero in northern Alabama, northern Mississippi, I do believe, and we'll talk about that here in a second. Lake effect snow band still ongoing off all the Great Lakes. Buffalo looks like they're getting hit pretty good right now, so we'll talk a little bit on that too. But everybody else is pretty quiet out there. So we'll take a look at watches, warnings, and advisories. Pivotal weather does not show everything. There's a lot of hard freeze warnings down here in the south. And we do have lake effect snow warnings that are typically in the green but never show up on pivotal weather for whatever reason. But you do have those in like Buffalo and, of course, the eastern end of Lake Ontario where you guys are getting slammed by lake effect snow. And then we still got the winter weather advisories across all the other Great Lakes with this lake effect snow. Winter storm warnings across the northern Rockies. Winter weather advisories are in the purple. Winter storm warnings are in the pink. You still got the ongoing ice storm warnings across areas of Washington, kind of the Columbia Basin. I believe it's called the Columbia River Basin, and just the valleys of Oregon still experiencing freezing rain and all those things we do not like to see, but here we are. Storms today, there's none forecast, so we don't even have to really spend any time on that. Excessive rainfall outlook, there is a very small risk of flooding here in areas of Oregon and California, but it is very small, not even really worth mentioning, honestly. But temperatures right now, let's update this across the southeast, and here we are. This is pretty wild stuff, folks. I mean, it is below zero in Tennessee. I don't know what you got in Huntsville right now, but it looks like it's very close to 0 degrees. Looks like you got a 11 below reading in northern Mississippi. Unreal stuff. In fact, let's just kind of zoom into this region really fast, folks. Yeah, I mean, and this is actual readings. This is a pretty accurate depiction of, what the actual temperatures are. These are actually readings from National Weather Service. So they actually got the real deal weather stations. This isn't skewed by any means. Of course, sometimes we got a faulty reading out here, but this is legit, folks. I mean, Nashville, I think the National Weather Service out in Nashville said y'all have gotten down to about 2 or 3 below zero. Very, very cold in this area. Unreal, Arctic Circle kind of stuff out here in the deep and mid-south. So hope you guys are well. Hope you don't got no frozen pipes. Hope your well's doing all right. Hopefully you left the faucets dripping last night. Just unbelievable cold. And we talked about this because of the snowpack. This always makes the snow totals go a little bit lower than expected. Even when the National Weather Service says, hey, the temperature is going to be very, very cold, it still ends up beating that. And of course, we got readings that are even lower than 10 below zero. So wild stuff. The good news is with the southeast today, no precipitation expected, or it would be more winter weather. It's going to be a very cold day, even east of the Appalachian Mountains, who have kind of, escaped the worst of this winter weather and Arctic cold. But finally, it's kind of oozed east of the Apps now. We're getting into this afternoon, nothing going on overnight tonight. And then we're waking up tomorrow morning, a little bit of shower activity across Florida that we're being greeted to for tomorrow morning. But outside of that, it's a pretty quiet day. Northeast, we still got the lake effect snow bands ongoing. I think that they will kind of let up a little bit off Lake Erie, but I think like Lake Ontario, we're getting into midday. They are continuing. You guys are still continuing to get hit hard, especially like Watertown, areas of the Tug Hill Plateau, kind of stretching all the way into the western Adirondacks. And really, this is the only thing ongoing in the Northeast today. Maybe some scattered flurries will break containment from these lake effect snow bands all the way into Vermont, maybe New Hampshire. But outside of that, you could get some snow showers along the coastal regions of Maine this evening. But I think that we will start to kind of kickstart. And listen, the models could be wrong. You guys could continue to get this huge lake effect snow band off Lake Erie all day. It might not let up at all. They are kind of tough to forecast. They really are. But you get into tonight, and it looks like the lake effect snow band off Lake Erie begins to kind of shift south. And then we start to actually just get snow from just another system, not really influenced by the Great Lakes. And that begins to kind of overspread this area with the lake effect snow. And as we're waking up tomorrow morning, we got this area of snow. It looks like it's snowing in Detroit, starting to move into Cleveland, Erie. So we'll talk more on that here in a second. But as far as a close-up look at these lake effect snow bands here, they are kind of wisping around. We're getting into midday. You continue to get crushed up here on the eastern end of Lake Ontario, the Tug Hill Plateau, maybe a little bit of lake-to-lake connection right here where Rochester might get a couple inches of snow later this evening. Buffalo getting hit hard. I think you guys have already got a foot and a half, maybe 2 feet of snow in areas around Buffalo just between now and the last day or so. But man, this looks like a pretty intense band hitting the Tug Hill Plateau, getting all the way into the Adirondacks, well north of Syracuse. It's really close to Watertown, if not hitting Watertown. And then we'll just go on and take it all the way until, Thursday morning, Thursday midday. And then, man, look at this band Thursday afternoon, slamming Buffalo. Very narrow, thin, itty-bitty band, but it's got such intense snow in it. So pretty wild stuff. Even some snow showers kind of breaking loose Thursday afternoon across the rest of New York. So we'll just stop it right there because this could change a little bit. But, snowfall between now and the next 24 hours, between now and 7 p.m. Thursday, actually, another 18 to 24 inches of snow. Watertown, 30 to 36 inches of snow is now forecast up here, folks. The Tug Hill Plateau is getting crushed. Maybe 1 to 2 inches of snow in Rochester. And we actually do have another graphic that I just saw the National Weather Service out of Buffalo post. And let's see if we can pull it up real quick. I always try to retweet all their information. But here it is. It's a great graphic. It says snow forecast today. Basically between right now and 1 p.m. It's saying the Buffalo could get 8 to 12 inches of snow. Alden, 3 to 4 inches of snow. And then additional snow between 1 p.m. today and 7 p.m. tonight, another 4 to 6 inches of snow in Buffalo. So what is that? They're going for basically 12 to 18 inches of snow between now and 7 p.m. tonight. And it has some cool graphics down here. Snowfall rates could reach 2 to 4 inch per hour rates. So it says band will weaken some this afternoon, which is what the HRRR model showed. So be careful in that region. I think you guys are just pretty much hunkered down anyways. South Central U.S., nothing going on. Some snow will begin to enter northwest Colorado and the Rockies, and snow will add up very quick. Several inches of snow, feet of snow expected in the Rockies and Colorado. And we kind of keep this going. Nothing really expected in Denver. Here's kind of a low that's kind of moistureless, if you will, but this is kind of shooting across. It's kind of weak. But we're getting into Thursday morning, and then here comes another low. So all this is kind of piecing together what could be a pretty snowy end to the week for the eastern U.S., but nothing really going on in the south central U.S. today. The north central U.S., these bands of snow will begin to pivot back into the UP of Michigan later this afternoon. So my folks right up against Lake Superior shores, you guys will start to get blasted with lake effect snow, but it doesn't look like this is really going to creep really far inland into the UP of Michigan. But you guys could certainly see some heavy snow if you're way up here kind of in the northeastern section of the UP. Some light snow will begin to break out across the plains, Nebraska. This could be more widespread than what this model is showing. A little bit of light snow in Iowa. It's still very cold, so it's going to accumulate on everything. By the time you get to around 10, 11 p.m. tonight, some light snow could begin to fall in Chicago, getting into northern sections of Indiana. This is a very long, kind of strung out band of light to moderate snow. And, it could dump a couple inches of snow in Chicago. And then by the time we're waking up tomorrow morning, another system begins to enter our screen and deliver some accumulating snow. Now, this system is a little bit more aggressive. It's going to dump a little bit more heavy snow. But you are waking up tomorrow morning with a band of snow, maybe all the way into St. Louis. It's not going to cover a lot of real estate. It's very scrawny, very little. But Detroit, it's snowing. It looks like it's beginning to move into Cleveland. Could become more broad as we get into tomorrow afternoon. And we'll tomorrow morning, but we'll talk more on that here in the next segment of the video. But snowfall between now and the next 24 hours, you'll start to add it up. Several inches in this region, several inches on this other side of the UP. And then we will get maybe an inch, inch and a half, 2 inches of snow between now and the next 24 hours, really tonight in Chicago. And then northwest sections of Indiana. And then southwest sections of Michigan will get a few inches of snow tonight, maybe an inch or two in like Rochester. Not much from this system in Wisconsin, I don't think. But we will look at the middle of the country. This is system number one that will fly through kind of later today. This will deliver dusting amounts across Nebraska all the way into Omaha, maybe a half an inch of snow. That's what's being forecasted. Very light amounts, not a big deal at all. Out west, there's a lot going on this morning. We still have freezing rain ongoing, as you can tell, tucked into the northeast section of Oregon, where you guys have had two significant winter storms over the last several days. But it's snowing pretty good in northern Utah, most of Idaho. It's starting to move into western sections of Wyoming. But the entire central and northern Rockies are getting on and off heavy snow. But look, the good news is that you still keep raining in sort of the valley regions of Oregon, but you start to get above freezing. So you're just going to get good old-fashioned rain again, and then you will begin to thaw out here in Oregon, where you've had some pretty epic ice storms. But freezing rain could continue for areas that are favored in Washington and Oregon. Very heavy snow, a big-time winter storm for Idaho, especially the higher elevations, getting into western Montana. And then we're getting into this evening, into the overnight hours. Light to moderate snow will begin to overspread the eastern half of Montana with this Clipper system that moves in. Then another system moves in into the Pacific Northwest overnight, but this is definitely a much warmer system as a ridge begins to build into the western U.S. It will eventually make its way all the way into the eastern U.S. So definitely a snowy winter storm kind of mode here in the northern and central Rockies today, especially the northern Rockies. Snowfall between now and the next 24 hours. Feet of snow will add up in the Cascades, your typical regions. But we start to move into the Rockies. You guys will definitely add it up here in central and northern Idaho. 1 to 2 feet. These are definitely areas where you got to stay tuned to your local people. They can talk about your geographical features, your microclimates a lot better. But, I think most of Montana, except maybe extreme northeast Montana, will get accumulating snow from this. So even out here in more of the plateau regions, sort of the, I guess you would say, the lower elevation, even though you are elevated in eastern Montana. But you folks will even get accumulating snow from this just between now and the next 24 hours. So there's still more snow falling after this. But this will be a heavy hit for the Rockies of Colorado, higher elevations of Utah. What kind of alerts do you have in Utah? Yeah, it looks like you got winter storm warnings up in Salt Lake City. So let me find this graphic again. I'm getting all off track here. But yeah, a good bit of snow could fall. Pretty decent event in Salt Lake City today. So moving ahead, looking at temperatures, you're not getting above freezing again for most of Tennessee. Maybe somebody might sneak above 32 degrees today, but the mountains of basically all the Appalachian Mountains is below freezing. You're locked in below freezing. You're going to be locked into this cold air for the Northeast through basically next week. You might warm up a little bit tomorrow ahead of the next shot of cold air, but it's a very cold day across the Southeast. Even northern Florida won't get out the 40s, but you can tell there's a warmer environment starting to move into the region. We'll go on and switch to the western U.S. You're starting to warm up in the southern high plains. Amarillo is going to get up into the 60s today after being froze up for a few days. And you can tell you're starting to warm up across the west. You're going to get well into the 40s today, where you got been locked into sub-freezing temperatures with this ice storm up in Oregon. So you're going to start to really get the dripping ongoing outside of the actual rain falling from the sky. You're really going to start to see chunks of ice fall from these trees and these regions of the country. That's for sure. But moving forward, let's talk about this winter storm risk. So we'll kind of start off where we left off with the next, the 24-hour forecast. And we got snow moving across the Dakotas. We got this light snow event that we kind of already talked about that's kind of heading on out. And this is a pretty aggressive clipper. And there's a lot of cold air still locked in place up here with another shot of cold air coming down. And there's a couple things going on. One, you got freezing rain breaking out down here in the Mississippi Valley region and western Tennessee, northern sections of Mississippi. But we'll talk about that more in a second. You keep your eyes on this. This is a piece of the puzzle of what's going on with this winter storm risk across the eastern U.S. But this continues. We get to about midday. We got light, moderate snow, maybe heavy at times, moving into eastern Nebraska, moving into Iowa. It's going to be, Minneapolis has been a city that has not really gotten a big event so far this winter. Everything's kind of moved to your south, and this system will be no different. Most of this will move to your south, but you could get a coating of snow from this. Tomorrow afternoon, snow begins to spread across the entire state of Iowa, which is a state that's gotten hit hard by winter weather lately. And then this starts to move into pretty much fully into the Midwest. And this will deliver more snow for Chicago. So we'll go on and move into the eastern panel. And here it comes. Here it comes into your screen. Look at the freezing rain breaking out across western Tennessee. It even shows freezing rain in northern Mississippi, Memphis. And I could see Little Rock getting a little freezing rain from this. I could see the Boot Hill, Missouri getting some freezing rain from this. This is getting into about midday tomorrow. This is around 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Look at all this freezing rain based off the HRRR model overspreading across western Kentucky, getting all the way up into Evansville, Indiana, western Tennessee. You got to remember there's snow on the ground in this area. Nothing has had a chance to melt. And here comes freezing rain that's going to fall on top of all this. There's probably still snow on some of the back roads and secondary roads that have not been scraped. So this is going to cause issues. There will absolutely be winter weather advisories issued in these areas by the time we probably get to this evening's video. If we don't, I'll be very, very surprised. In fact, by the time some of you folks watch this video, we could have winter weather advisories in this area. I don't think we'll get winter storm warnings. Maybe some winter storm watches in Kentucky, and I'll show you why. And here we go. Sure enough, we get into Kentucky. This energy sort of begins to kind of combine with this. We start to get some snow, moderate snow falling in southern Wisconsin, northern Illinois, still snowing back here in Iowa. Northern Missouri is going to get some snow from this. Snow's falling in Chicago. This begins to overspread across the Midwest, the Ohio River Valley. And look at this. You're getting more of a sleet, icy mix down here in southern sections of Kentucky, central Kentucky, kind of a wintry mix type deal. And you're still getting freezing rain tomorrow evening in sections of maybe Nashville. And then we're locked into some cold air a little bit here in the Tennessee region. Eastern Tennessee, I think by the time we get into tomorrow evening, we're going to be dealing with some light freezing rain with temperatures hovering right around the freezing mark, a couple degrees below, a couple of degrees above maybe, just to make it all rain. But I think we'll get some freezing rain into the western sections of North Carolina. Wintry mix here in western Virginia tomorrow evening. Look at the snow spreading into northern Kentucky. This could be quite heavy. This area is forecast right now to get a few inches of snow. But, look at this. I mean, it's snowing across Indianapolis. It's you're getting an epic lake effect snow band that's about to get fired off here down into the southern end of Lake Michigan. This is going to be an intense band. Just kind of the flow of this Arctic air that's about to come down is going to change really the flow of these lake effect snow bands. But you keep on going. And at this point, we can only go out 48 hours on the HRRR model. But I will show you what the Euro is showing with this too. And this is the middle of the night tomorrow night, about midnight. And we got a pretty moderate winter storm ongoing. And to me, this looks like some pretty heavy snow. And you got to remember the snowfall ratios with this is going to be pretty high. So I could see this overachieving. I really could, especially with so much cold air that's been in the country over the last several days and a new fresh injection of cold air with this system. I mean, you're getting into the middle of the night. And Ohio, I think this will be one of your most substantial systems of the winter so far. You know, Indiana, Indianapolis, you're getting some heavy snow, still snowing back here in Chicago. And you got a pretty much a kind of a moderate winter storm moving into West Virginia, moving into Western PA. I don't think this is going to be some crippling huge event, but it could overachieve. It really could. Some freezing rain down here in Western Virginia. And you know, you kind of start off where we kind of start back where it kind of stops on the HRRR model, which is Friday night. And I can tell you, here we go. You know, we're getting into the wee hours of the morning, Friday morning. Look at this heavy snow in eastern sections of Kentucky. I could see this being a little bit more ice than what the Euro is showing, though. And then we get into Friday morning. I think we're going to get school closures across the D.C. region and the Delmarva, Baltimore region. We'll see what happens. But, you know, you just got this huge blob of light blue you see on the screen from the Midwest all the way into the Mid-Atlantic, interior sections of the Northeast. But this is a lot of light to moderate snow. But it's heavier down here. And this is going to be another shot of moderate snow in a very cold environment over West Virginia. It starts to move into western Maryland. I mean, look at northern VA. You're starting to snow again Friday morning. I think you're going to get a pretty decent snow event, maybe some icing, unfortunately, for my folks here in the mountains of North Carolina and Virginia. It's snowing on the back side of this into northeast Tennessee Friday morning, and I could see this because the cold air finally funnels in, and you could get some flurries all the way down to the Cumberland Plateau. But we take it all the way to about midday Friday. This is when the system tries to do something tricky. You got a low off the coast of the eastern U.S. You got a lot of energy back here flying around this polar vortex lobe, if you will, and just a deep digging shot of Arctic air, this trough. And, you know, Friday, we got a pretty decent winter storm for D.C. standards, Baltimore standards, areas of the Delmarva standards, falling across this region. And I know it doesn't look like some huge event, but this is some pretty cold air locked in place. So I definitely think several inches of snow is forecast. It could end up being forecast in this region. I really could. Right now, and I'm about to show you the snowfall forecast predicted for this area, it's more on the lower end. We get into Friday afternoon. It's snowing pretty good in the areas of Maryland that don't typically get a lot of snow, kind of the coastal regions and the eastern sections. Delmarva's getting snow. New Jersey, southeast PA, it's still snowing back in West Virginia. And then, is it going to do something for the I-95 corridor, something more substantial? It looks like it just brings light snow into New York up to Boston. And then it heads off, and then you get this brutal shot of Arctic air that moves down again. And this is going to just continuously fire off these lake effect snow bands. But they're going to be more so, I think, northwest to southeast, because the flow of this Arctic air is much different. It's not coming from the west as much. It's coming from the north more. So I think Cleveland will get some significant snow from this, including this downhill kind of flow off Lake Michigan into northern sections of Indiana. So what about the GFS? We'll kind of fly through this quick, but it kind of shows the same development from this. There's not much different. Now, I will say Friday morning, it does pull back some snow back into central sections of like Tennessee a little bit more, and it does bring more snow into New York City, Boston, a little bit further north. The GFS in general is just more amped up, and it really likes the idea of maybe a coastal system a little bit more Friday afternoon. This would bring accumulating snow a little bit further up the coastline, the eastern U.S. So that's a scenario we do watch, something we watch. And I think as we get into this weekend, we're going to have northwest flow snow all the way into the North Carolina, Tennessee mountains all weekend. I think it's probably going to last all the way into Sunday, especially for West Virginia. Excellent skiing weekend before we do warm up eventually next week. But this is the snowfall between now and the next 24 hours. This is the system that flies through that I just showed you that kind of links up with the system to the south. You know, a stripe of 1 to 3 inches of snow is possible from the Dakotas through northeast and eastern Nebraska, through Iowa. Not a big event by any means. And then we start to look down here at this ice, a few 1/100ths of an inch of ice down here for Arkansas, you know, Tennessee, western Kentucky, not a big deal. And we look a little bit further east, and, you know, it does have a few 1/100ths of an inch of ice in the Cumberland Plateau, a little bit of ice even in North Georgia. Even, you know, in the southern Cumberland Plateau, not a big event. They're indicating from this. We'll see if anything uptrends to like 1/10 of an inch of ice. Let's hope not, especially with all the snow on the ground down here. Then we move a little bit further up between now and the next 24 hours. This is what it's looking like. And then we'll go between now and the duration of this system. Now, actually, this only goes out to Saturday morning. I think it's still snowing in this region. And we will zoom into these individual graphics just like we've done over the last several winter storms. But for now, we'll keep it at this. We'll do that tonight, most likely. But check this out. I mean, a several-inch snowfall event for northern Indiana. They're going for about 5 inches of snow between now and Saturday morning in Chicago. I believe that will be one of your biggest systems. I don't know if you even got 5 inches of snow from this last winter storm that hit you guys several days ago. But look at Cleveland, folks. I mean, over a foot of snow forecast because lake effect snow also, and then the initial push of moisture. Detroit going for 4 to 5 inches of snow, but then you go down here to eastern Kentucky. I mean, 1 to 3 inches of snow. Ohio, I think most of the state will at minimum get 2 inches of snow. But even southern Indiana, a couple inches of snow is possible. Not really much of anything for southern Illinois. And then they're already forecasting snow in northern areas of Tennessee. Maybe a half inch, maybe a dusting of snow. But, I mean, look at my folks here in northeast Tennessee, kind of an area that got robbed a little bit from this last event. It looks like they're forecasting a couple inches of snow in extreme northeast Tennessee, sort of the Johnson City region. I got a buddy who lives in that area, and he only got like an inch of snow from this winter storm that really hit Tennessee hard. Like areas like Johnson City only got like an inch and a half, but Knoxville got, 7 to 8 inches of snow. So, he called it well too. He said there was going to be a warm nose. It's actually what allowed me to mention it in my video. And it unfortunately ended up verifying in the Cleveland, Chattanooga region, sort of this section right here of Tennessee and North Carolina. And yeah, you guys kind of got screwed. And there was kind of flashes of that on short range model guidance. And unfortunately, it ended up verifying. But, for whatever reason, the National Weather Service is doing some kind of weird glitch here, which really stinks because this takes us all the way out to Saturday morning. So I don't know what's going on right here. It glitches sometimes for whatever reason. So we can only go out to Friday evening from the National Weather Service. Like I said, we'll zoom into some of these graphics tonight. But they're already going for about 1 inch and a half of snow in D.C. A little bit higher totals north of the city. Baltimore, a little bit more, a couple inches of snow in northern VA. West Virginia, you'll get more snow than this because this only goes out to Friday evening. Several inches of snow expected. Erie going for 8 to 9 inches of snow. Pittsburgh still could be snowing. I really hate that the graphic on this is not going for us, but I'll show you some more other comparisons too of other model guidance. But you get up here into southern New England, not calling for much yet, but this could increase. But between now and Friday evening, calling for 1 to 2 inches of snow across, maybe 1 to 3 inches of snow across Long Island. But you could get more in New Jersey. I would watch New Jersey, northern Delaware, northern Maryland, southeast PA. It's kind of an area that could jackpot from this system. And then you look at the European model. Now, this does take us out through the entire event, right? This goes all the way out to Saturday evening. Going for over a foot of snow in West Virginia. Going for 7 to 8 inches of snow in western Maryland. Hagerstown, 2 to 3, 4 inches of snow. 2 to 3 inches of snow in D.C. Maybe widespread 2 to 5 inch snowfalls in northern VA. And there it is, just the Mid-Atlantic and Delmarva region accumulating snow. But guys, I'm telling you, this area right in here could get more snow. I really think there's a possibility of that. And, you look at the GFS, and it's a little bit further north. But still going for a few inches of snow in D.C. But I'm telling you, I think that somewhere in here is going to get more snow than what's forecast right now. So it's important to continue to tune in for updates in this area. We'll see if they'll increase. But man, this looks like a pretty hefty event from the actual push of moisture in West Virginia, western Maryland, even the higher terrain of southwest PA. I think Pittsburgh will get a nice event from this. Not one of these massive winter storms, but several inches of snow is possible. It's possible in Pittsburgh. And most of West Virginia will most likely get accumulating snow. We're going to have to deal with a secondary Arctic blast. We'll look at Friday morning low temperatures. You kind of get a little bit of a thaw, but it's not really a thaw for areas of Tennessee, really. You're still getting lows deep below the freezing mark. But then here comes this second shot of Arctic air. You're going to get right back into the single digits in Tennessee, northern Alabama, northern Mississippi, even northern Georgia, the mountains, the southern Alps, Arkansas, and of course even colder than that further north. And then we get into Sunday morning. This is when we can get very cold east of the Appalachian Mountains. and very cold across the Appalachian Mountains. I think we'll get below 0 degrees again. We'll have another very frigid morning across these regions. It's going to be very cold in the North Florida also. So, and then it moderates a little bit, but still another cold morning for next Monday morning. So, and then we begin our warm up. And, I think by the time we're in this time next week, I'm not sure what we're going to be talking about. I really don't. It's been so high paced since the beginning of the month that it's gonna be really weird. We get to about the end of this coming weekend and we're wrapping up this winter storm, and there might not be a whole lot to talk about unless you're a big warm weather fan, which there are a lot of people that are. I think that we could potentially enter a quiet period next week. I really do. So we can all take a break, kind of breathe a little bit, especially me, and we'll see what's heading on down the pipeline after that. But let's focus in on what's in front of us and get that taken care of, and then we'll move forward after that. Love you guys. Appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for the amazing support. You guys have a fantastic day. Stay warm, and I'll talk to you this evening.